Traditional real estate investing is dead. I'm here to tell you about the rental arbitrage method, where I built up a portfolio of over 100 units using this method, and I think it's the best way to invest in real estate. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned investor, rental arbitrage is the best returns with the lowest risk and the best way to invest in real estate. So if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Colin Wright, and I built up a rental arbitrage portfolio of over 100 units in less than 2 years to now generate me multiple six figures per month. I was able to move my family from Canada to the US using this business, and I wanna talk about it. So what is rental arbitrage? A lot of people think it's this complicated business model. A lot of people have never even heard about it. But it's actually a very simple model. It's actually easier than purchasing real estate. Rental arbitrage is essentially just renting a property instead of purchasing it and using it for short-term rentals. So you act as the long-term tenant. So you pay long-term tenant rent, but then you rent it on short-term platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, and you make a premium because you're renting for short-term versus long-term, and you pocket the difference between your expenses and the money you bring in off the short-term rental platform. Let's break down the pros and cons to the business model. So some pros to getting an Airbnb arbitrage are the low barrier to entry. You can basically open up a company, get a 0% APR credit card, use money from that to get your first cash flowing unit. You can co-host. That means where you basically learn the business and host other people's properties. You don't need any money for that. Or you can find furnished rentals. These are basically three ways that you can get into this business without using any money of your own. If you do want to go the traditional arbitrage route, which is where we would lease the property, an empty property, and we would furnish it, you're gonna need a bit of capital for that, but back to the part about like the low risk and low barrier to entry, you're not risking a lot of money. Your big capital cost is your furniture, and if something was to happen with the unit, like a regulation was to come into play, or the landlord didn't want to renew your lease, for whatever reason, you own that furniture and you can find another home or unit to basically move it to. Another amazing benefit to this real estate model is that you don't need to get a mortgage. There's so much red tape when it comes to getting a mortgage. You need a 20% down payment. You need to show financials. You need good credit. You need none of that for arbitrage. I have property managers and landlords that haven't even asked me for a credit check or financials. As long as I have first, last, and security, and whatever the particulars for that potential deal are, that landlord will lease me the unit, I'll go ahead and furnish it and start making cash flow. There's just so many pros to this business model compared to traditional real estate, and you can get an arbitrage deal up and running in like a week. You can call a landlord, send your docs, send them the first month's rent, and start basically operating. There's a big misconception around this business model that it's illegal. As long as you have written or verbal consent from the property owner or the property manager to sublet the property, you are legally allowed to do so. Another amazing pro for this business model is that you're not gonna be responsible for major repairs or unexpected costs, like AC, like plumbing, like a new roof. That's all gonna be on the property manager. So you're gonna have your set expenses every month, rent, utilities, Wi-Fi, and you know that you're gonna be profitable in most months because you can determine your revenue versus your expenses, where when you purchase a property, you may have these unexpected costs that may wipe out your cash flow for the entire year. And the landlord's always gonna be happy because you're paying the rent on time, you're cleaning the property on a regular basis, you're taking care of small, maintenance and repairs, and they know that you're gonna be in their property for a long time, so they're not gonna have that tenant turnover every year, which is gonna cost them money as well. So that's why they're gonna want to, work with you for years to come. Let's talk about cons. So there are a couple. You are renting, right? So you're not gonna get a mortgage pay down, you're not gonna gain equity in your property, you're not gonna get capital appreciation like you would with a traditional purchase. But I think in 2025, and years to come with Airbnb, you never know what can happen in this world. And I think that buying a property for Airbnb is one of the dumbest things you can do right now. Rental arbitrage is a safer method. It costs a lot less upfront. You're risking a lot less capital. And if something were to happen to your unit, you could always move to another unit. So that's why I recommend, if you're wanting to invest into real estate in 2025 and years to come, that Airbnb arbitrage should be your go-to method before traditional real estate investing. So to wrap this video up, I'm gonna hop over to my whiteboard. I'm gonna show you guys what a traditional real estate deal looks like numbers-wise compared to an arbitrage deal. So for this example, we're gonna use a 3-bedroom house in Texas with an average purchase price of $500K. For that purchase price, you're gonna need a 20% down payment, right? Which is gonna be $100K. So you're already in the hole 100 grand, and we haven't even started making money yet, right? In Texas, on a $500K purchase price, your monthly mortgage payment is gonna be around $3,000 per month. And that's only gonna include property tax and mortgage payment. That's no HOA fee, property insurance, anytime you have a tenant turnover, no maintenance, no AC repairs, nothing. $3,000 a month and you've already put down $100K. In Texas, you can rent a 3-bedroom house for $2,500 per month. So if you were to go this route, you'd already be negative $500 a month in cash flow. You'd be paying into this property. So does that seem like a great real estate model right now? To me, it doesn't seem worth it because you're not getting even mortgage pay down in the beginning because mortgages are interest front loaded, right? So you're gonna be paying pretty much all interest at the beginning. You're gonna be paying into the property. Anytime you need to put maintenance in or you need to, have a tenant turnover, you're gonna be paying into this deal. So now I'm gonna explain to you using the same house for the rental arbitrage method. So we are the long-term tenant in this scenario. We're gonna pay $2,500 a month for rent. Now my 3-bed Airbnbs in Texas make over $5,000 every month in revenue. Some months more, some months a bit less, but on average over $5,000 a month in revenue. Out of that revenue, we have about $1,000 a month in cleaning, utilities, and Wi-Fi. So that's gonna leave us with $4,000 a month after our expenses. So once we pay our cleaning fees, utility, Wi-Fi, all we have to deduct is our rent. So now we're gonna minus off our $2,500 per month. So this is gonna leave us with about $1,500 plus per month in net cash flow. So when you're comparing both models, this model over here is high risk because you have to put down over $100,000 of your own money and you're gonna be on the hook if the property goes down in value, you have any, crazy major repairs or renovations you gotta do, you have a tenant turnover. This model here, you're always gonna be on the hook for, and it's a huge liability when it comes to Airbnb. Rental arbitrage, you're putting very little money down, you're not at risk because you're in a lease, you can always relocate to another property. Your big capital cost is your furniture, which you're gonna get paid back fairly quickly because if you do the math, on $1,500 a month, you're paid back in like 8 months. And that's without a concession. With rental arbitrage, sometimes we even get free 1-month rent, 2-month rent. It happens all the time. With a mortgage, you're not getting any free rent. And when we go to renew this lease in a year or 2 years, whatever the initial term was, we're probably gonna negotiate another concession to stay there, which is free money at that point. You're already paid back. There's no risk to this model. That's why I love this model so much. And that's why I've scaled to over 100 units that do over 6 figures a month in profit because of this model. With this model, I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably even millions of dollars in the last couple of years because prices have tanked. Interest rates are up. I have tenants that aren't paying me. This model does not work right now. It is great for building long-term wealth. If you want to offset your taxes, you make a lot of money. Buying real estate is a great play. It makes sense for the average investor and someone that's starting off and just wants to make cash flow and then use that cash flow to buy long-term assets. This is the model you got to go with. So that's what rental arbitrage is in a nutshell compared to traditional real estate. If you are interested in starting your own Airbnb arbitrage business, click the first link in the description. That's going to take you to a page to book a call with my team. We have options for every budget. If you're interested in learning or are done for you options, we can facilitate it. We have a great community that we have weekly coaching calls, extra help, whatever you need, B&B Launch can help you with. So I hope you enjoyed the video and now hopefully you have a better understanding of what the rental arbitrage method is. And if you are interested, obviously subscribe, follow. I'm gonna be dropping a lot more content, free value game for you guys. We'll see you in the next one.